Hello and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Torrential rain has been battering parts of South Korea since Wednesday, leaving at least 4 people dead and displacing thousands from their homes. Many spent Thursday night in temporary shelters, with scenes of destruction continuing to emerge. The U.S. Senate has included a clause in its 2026 defense policy bill that would prohibit reducing the number of American troops stationed in South Korea below the current level of 28,500, underscoring Washington's ongoing security commitment to the Korean Peninsula. It's the final day of cabinet confirmation hearings at the National Assembly. Thursday's session featured heated exchanges, key revelations, and a glimpse into the political tone of the new administration. Severe flooding continues across South Korea, with heavy rain causing widespread damage and evacuations. 4 people have died, with 1 still missing. Our Kim Jung-sil starts us off.
Severe flooding is making it difficult for drivers with front wheels nearly submerged as they navigate flooded roads. One of the hardest hit regions is Chungcheongnam-do province. In Dangjin, floodwaters have submerged neighborhoods, blocking roads and causing widespread damage. Fallen trees are obstructing highways, and emergency crews are working to clear the debris.
Heavy rain will continue through tomorrow, with up to 50 millimeters per hour expected tonight and tomorrow morning. Some areas could see up to 200 millimeters, with southern regions possibly experiencing up to 300 millimeters.
As of Friday morning, 4 deaths have been confirmed, 3 in Chungcheongnam-do province and 1 in Gyeonggi-do province. 1 person is still missing. Over 5,000 people have been evacuated across the country, with more than 4,500 still unable to return home. Roads, bridges, and embankments have collapsed, and more than 300 public facilities and homes have been affected.
We urge foreigners in South Korea to stay in touch with their neighbors and stay informed about the weather. In the case of severe conditions, please follow the evacuation messages sent through the Korea Meteorological Administration's emergency rainfall alerts.
As the rain continues, authorities are on high alert, bracing for further damage, with more rainfall expected through the weekend. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
The recent heavy rainfall and rapid flooding pose a heightened risk of unexpected accidents. Here's our Kim Bo-kyung with important safety guidelines.
With the monsoon season back, there have already been a series of vehicle flooding accidents. When one is trapped inside a submerged car, what would be the best survival tips? Trying to open the door right away might be hard due to the pressure difference. In this case, wait for the water inside the car to rise to the same level as the outside, as once the pressure equalizes, the door gets much easier to open. If the situation is too urgent, break the window using either an emergency hammer or the headrest of the seat. It is important to strike the upper part and the edges of the window so as not to get hurt by the broken glass. But what's best if water starts filling up inside?
The most important thing is to abandon the car and escape quickly if water starts rising inside the vehicle.
Heavy rain is often accompanied by lightning strikes, which can lead to serious injuries or even death. If thunder is heard within 30 seconds of a lightning flash, one needs to seek shelter immediately, as it indicates the lightning struck nearby. Wait at least 30 minutes after the last sound of thunder before going back outside. One needs to avoid holding long metal objects that can attract lightning and should not stay under trees or outdoor pavilions, as they cannot block lightning. It is safer to stay inside a building or a car. High humidity during rainy season can significantly increase the risk of electrical leakage accidents. Thus, the Korea Electrical Safety Corporation recommends testing home circuit breakers in advance to ensure they function properly. Press the test button next to the breaker, and if the electricity cuts off when the button is pressed, it means it is working well. Avoiding electrical facilities in flooded areas is a must, and appliances should only be reconnected when they are completely dry. Lastly, unplugging devices at home could also be a way to prevent electrical hazards. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung spoke over the phone with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Thursday for discussions on cooperation between the two countries. Speaking for the first time since Lee took office, Erdogan congratulated him on his inauguration, while Lee thanked his counterpart and referred to his Türkiye as a brother nation for its support during the Korean War. The two leaders agreed to further strengthen the two countries' strategic partnership, according to Seoul's top office. On the same day, they also agreed to work closely together to advance cooperation in defense, arms industry, nuclear, and green energies. A U.S. Senate defense policy bill for the 2026 fiscal year includes a ban on the use of funds to reduce the number of U.S. forces Korea troops below the current level of 28,500. The bill comes amid concerns that U.S. President Donald Trump could seek to cut the number of troops stationed in South Korea. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
For the first time in 5 years, the National Defense Authorization Act for the 2026 fiscal year includes a ban on using funds to reduce the number of U.S. forces Korea troops below the current level of 28,500. The U.S. defense policy bill was posted on the Congress's website on Thursday, where it affirmed the reinforcement of the ROK-U.S. alliance by maintaining the current USFK troop level. The bill reads, amounts authorized to be appropriated by this act may not be obligated or expended to reduce the total number of members of the armed forces permanently stationed in or deployed to the Republic of Korea below 28,500, or to complete the transition of wartime operational control of the United States Republic of Korea Combined Forces Command from the United States-led command to Republic of Korea-led command. However, the NDAA leaves open the possibility of using defense funds for a USFK reduction or OPCON transition if it is in the national security interest of the United States, adding that the action could only be undertaken after proper consultations with its allies, including South Korea, Japan, and other countries that have sent military contributions to the UN command. The ban was previously included in the NDAA from the 2019 to 2021 fiscal years to prevent any potential unilateral reduction during the first Trump administration. However, it was removed from the bill during the former President Joe Biden's term in office. It's the first time that the Senate added a ban on the use of funds for the completion of wartime OPCON transfer. The latest bill comes amid speculation that the Trump administration could reduce the number of USFK and ask Seoul to increase spending for its own defense. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The multinational sanctions monitoring team created to support the implementation of international sanctions against North Korea said on Thursday that military cooperation between North Korea and Russia violates UN sanctions. The United States, a member of the MSMT, reaffirmed its position that the Trump administration takes violation of sanctions against North Korea seriously, adding that it maintains the principle of complete denuclearization of North Korea. It also said that it will continue to pursue dialogue with Pyongyang. The monitoring team shared reports of sanctions violations by North Korea at the UN headquarters, calling on countries to join in efforts to maintain international peace and security in the face of continued UN sanctions violations. Now, after nearly a decade of courtroom battles, Samsung chairman Lee Jae-yong has been acquitted by South Korea's top court, clearing the final legal hurdle that had long loomed over the tech giant. With the verdict now in, attention is turning to what this means for Samsung's future, from its core semiconductor business to emerging sectors like biotech, and how the group might navigate a shifting political landscape. For a deeper dive, we have Professor Song Soo-young from Chungang University's College of Business and Economics with us this morning. Thank you for joining us, Professor.
Thank you for having me, and good morning to you.
Now, first off, while many expected this outcome following the lower court rulings, what is the broader significance of the Supreme Court's decision to acquit Lee Jae-yong?
I would like to say emphatically that this is the victory for the business and particularly for the conglomerates in Korean economy as a jebel. So, and also I would like to point out the kind of relative incompetence of the regulators, particularly for the prosecutor's office and Financial Services Commission. I think they lack in some expertise to perform or to successfully or very effectively to regulate big companies because always this is not only just true to Korea, but this is a general tendency of the big companies. Actually, they tend to have a more favorable business conditions and and that's why we have witnessed some kind of some discontents among the people around the world.
Right. Now, zooming into the specific business for Samsung now, the semiconductor industry moves fast and often involves high-stakes decisions. And many say that legal issues, like you mentioned just now, were in the way of Samsung Electronics' adoption of the trend, leading to a recent fall in their market share. With E now legally in the clear, do you expect Samsung to make bolder moves, especially in the chips?
Yeah, actually, the most adversary to current Samsung Electronics is actually not just development of the technology or advancement of the technology in the semiconductor production, such as a high-level HBM or some AI-related semiconductors. Rather, the biggest hurdle would be some tariff imposed by the Trump administration. And this means that the Samsung and as a head of the Samsung Group, the Lee must have exert very quick response against the changing business environment and some political uncertainties and such as tariffs. And so to that regards, it is good news to the Samsung Group. But there are so many different aspects on these issues because from minority shareholders' perspective, at least Samsung Group and the Samsung Electronics can save money for the future investment because of they are free of charge against the chairman of Lee. And so acquittal has such meanings. But for the institutional investors, it might have some nuanced response because this means that governance issues still remain and still weak or caveats still remain in the South Korean economy. So I think there is some pros and cons, but from the general investors' perspective, the institutional investors might be a little bit not surprised, but as expected, but they must have a little bit continue to have Korea discount further. But at least for the short term, it is good for Samsung and the minority shareholders.
Right, right. So speaking on that, Samsung Group also has biotech as its emerging major focus. How might this ruling affect the growth trajectory of Samsung Biologics and BioEpis?
Yeah, biologics has been listed in the Korean stock market, and the problem in the decade or more than decade ago, it was the evaluation of the value of Samsung Biologics has been fluctuated so much from 6.8 trillion Korean won to 19.5 trillion won. Almost a 66% change of the value really causes a problem. And then the Financial Services Commission and the financial supervisors they begin to investigate these issues. But anyway, the past is past and history is past. So now when we look forward to the future, I hope the biologics and, but actually biologics does not make any big development or big forward leap in the developing some biological pharmaceutical companies. So I hope they not only focus on some successful R&D and successful performance in bio industry, and also they could make big progress in the, particularly in the semiconductor industry. So I wish you good luck to the Samsung electors and Samsung Group.
Right. Now, before you go, I want to ask you, and go back to your point on Korea discount and the governance. Ease acquittal also coincides with the change in the presidential office here in Korea. Do you see this political shift having any impact on the group's business environment or regulatory posture, as President Lee has always emphasized what you've mentioned before?
Yeah, but when you look back the past prosecutions, such as Prosecutor General, actually Yoon Suk-yeol, who is impeached president impeached president before the current government, and some Prosecutor General was Han Dong-hoon, who is also now has no public status right now. But Special Prosecutor was Park Young-soo. All these people has launched some kind of investigation over these Samsung issues, particularly the Samsung succession and some related accounting fraudulent cases, but they are not successful. That's why I start with some incompetency of regulators. So currently, the acquittal, this is a very expedited decision made by the top court. The reason is because the newly elected president or government may work as some discipline, more strong disciplinary effect over the chaebols. That's why the current judiciary system has imposed such a very quick decision and to give an acquittal to the Samsung Group and the chairman of Lee Jae-yong. So to that regard, this is good news for the business, but it may be not good for government or Korea discount.
Well, thank you so much for your insights this morning, Professor, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Meanwhile, at Parliament confirmation hearings for the Foreign and Economy Minister nominees took place on Thursday. Our Hye-Soon reports.
Foreign Minister nominee Cho Myeongwoo expressed confidence that an agreement on U.S. tariffs could be reached before the August 1st deadline set by President Donald Trump. When asked at Thursday's confirmation hearing whether the negotiations could conclude in such a short time, Cho said this.
It seems possible, though it's hard to predict. We are putting in our utmost efforts, and from the U.S. perspective, South Korea is not only a very important ally, but also a key trading partner, so I believe they will prioritize negotiations with us.
Cho also highlighted the potential for both countries to turn the crisis into a win-win opportunity by leveraging South Korea's strengths. If appointed, he pledged to visit the U.S. as early as next week to help finalize the crucial negotiations. Moving to security, Cho was asked whether North Korea remains South Korea's, quote, primary enemy.
North Korea is an urgent and existential threat, but it is also a necessary partner in dialogue for peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula.
Cho emphasized the importance of close cooperation with the U.S. to ease tensions with North Korea and create opportunities for dialogue. He also outlined plans to strengthen trilateral cooperation with the U.S. and Japan while encouraging constructive roles from China and Russia. Meanwhile, confirmation hearings for key economic positions also took place. The finance minister nominee Koo Yoon-chol highlighted rising inflation, declining household incomes, and worsening external factors, stressing the decline in growth potential. He vowed to lead economic reforms to boost South Korea's future growth. Industry Minister nominee Kim Jong-kwan outlined plans to boost exports and investments, emphasizing trade policies to strengthen the national interest, especially in response to U.S. tariffs, and expanding global trade networks through agreements and APEC summits. As hearings continue, focus remains on how nominees' policies will shape South Korea's security and economy. Hye-Soon, Arirang News.
Poet Kim Hye-Soon has made history as the first Asian to win Germany's prestigious international Literature Prize. The announcement was on Thursday local time by the Haus de Kulturen Debat, or House of World Cultures. Kim's work, The Autobiography of Death, was praised for its rhythmic depth and ability to illuminate the unspoken truths of life and death. Currently in South Korea, Kim expressed her gratitude virtually, thanking the translators, judges, and organizers of the recognition.
Good morning, I'm Che Ji-hee, and this is The World Now. Pakistan's Punjab province has been hit by devastating monsoon rains that have killed more than 60 people within 24 hours. According to officials on Thursday, heavy monsoon downpours across Punjab province triggered flash floods, landslides, and building collapses, claiming 63 lives and injuring nearly 300 since Wednesday morning. According to the National Disaster Management Authority, since late June, the death toll from rain-related incidents across the country has reached 159, with Punjab accounting for most of the fatalities. More than 1,000 homes have also been damaged. Punjab's chief minister declared an emergency in several areas and urged residents to follow safety guidelines. A high flood alert remains in effect along rivers such as the Jhelum River, as more heavy rain is forecast for the weekend. In the UK, it was revealed on Thursday that over 100 British officials' identities, including special forces and MI6 members, were also compromised in the 2022 data breach that endangered thousands of Afghans. In a breach dating back to early 2022, nearly 19,000 Afghan helpers of British forces and 100 Britons, including MI6 operatives and SAS soldiers, had their data compromised due to a mistakenly sent Ministry of Defense email. A super injunction had been in place since 2023, preventing the public from knowing about the leak and the covert operation of relocating more than 16,000 Afghans at an estimated cost of $2.7 billion. The government had already admitted on Tuesday the data breach, which had been kept secret by the previous injunction. In Iraq, at least 69 people died when a massive fire ravaged a newly opened hypermarket in Al-Quds city in the east of the country. The blaze began on the perfume and cosmetics floor and rapidly took over the 5-story shopping center overnight on July 16th. Rescue teams managed to save individuals, but dozens are still missing or buried under debris. The Iraqi Prime Minister has ordered a high-level investigation into the cause of the fire, and the regional governor declared 3 days of mourning. In China's southwestern city of Chengdu on Thursday, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese visited Funi, the giant panda that returned from Adelaide Zoo in Australia after a 15-year loan. Albanese and his partner Jodie Hayden visited the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, where they greeted Funi and praised her as a great friend of Australia. The visit concluded his 6-day state visit to China. Funi and her partner Wang Wang were replaced by female giant panda Ilan and male Xingqiu at the Adelaide Zoo.
We need to prepare for more heavy rain today. The southern regions are forecast to get the brunt of it. A strong band of rain clouds is moving in from the west coast, bringing torrential rain mainly to Jeollanam-do and Gyeongsang-do provinces this morning. And these areas could see up to 300 millimeters of downpours. Chungcheong-do might get up to 200 millimeters. The capital area might see up to 100 millimeters of intense rainfall. A heavy rain advisory continues for western regions, and in these heavy rain advisory areas, we're expecting very strong rain, around 50 millimeters per hour, to concentrate along with strong winds. Extreme rainfall has a higher probability of triggering a landslide. There are many areas where the ground has become very saturated, with landslide alerts issued across much of the country. Meanwhile, this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to 29 29 degrees. Daegu, Daejeong, Gyeongju will be topping out at 30 degrees. Please be careful in order to avoid any damage from the wind and rain today.
That's all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.